You're watching 3 Questions with Kat. Overcome your obstacles and find success.
It's Catherine Norland, and we are back for another episode of 3 Questions with Kat. I pulled Ryan outside. I was like, you want to do an interview for my channel? So he's got no idea what's about to happen.
Not at all, but I'm excited.
Actors. We're on thinking on our feet, which is a good thing. So this channel, this particular series I have on my channel, 3 Questions with Kat, is about like success, helping people find success in life. The first question that they want to know is, what stops people from success?
Obstacles. Now, obstacles come in all shapes and forms. There are obstacles that, life presents to you, like you're driving to work and then your car breaks down and then you're late to work, you don't get the pay for that, and then you also have to make the financial, like your insurance won't cover everything to pay your car, and then that's a big setback. But there's also, more importantly, a lot of obstacles in your mind of self-doubt. And self-doubt, I think, is something that everyone faces. Just some people are better at hiding it. And, those are really big mental obstacles because your mind plays so much factors into things, and there's a lot of obstacles that you create for yourself, just like subconsciously with doubt. And it's all about like persevering and trying to get through that. I mean, like, sometimes what helps me is thinking logically. It's like where it's like, maybe I'm too shy to ask some friends to, go to something, or ask them, or send them a friendly reminder and be like, and they might be like, oh yeah, something came up and stuff, and there's that little rejection. But in my head, I'm like, no, they're my friends, and we all got stuff going on. And like, they're little self-doubts or insecurities we have, and it's about like pushing through it, or like sometimes it's like giving a chance to yourself. Like, let's say you find someone you want to ask out. Sometimes it's like, all right, logically, what is really the worst case scenario? Yeah, they say no, but since it's never going to happen anyway, you know the answer, instead of just like thinking about it and wasting so much mental energy on it.
Okay, so you mentioned obstacles. They could be physical or they could be mental, self-doubt, things like that. The second follow-up question I always ask is, how do you overcome the obstacles? Now, you sort of started to kind of answer that one already in the thinking logically, but how would you expand on it if I said, well, okay, so these are the obstacles, how do you overcome them? How do you get past them?
I guess it's more so like, another thing is having a good support network, like your friends, like your family. And then it's also like talking it out and taking it one step at a time. Like, sometimes if I feel overwhelmed with like a lot of things going on, it's like, okay, what's the one thing I can do that pushes me ahead? I don't have to solve all the problems all at once. I just have to solve the problem right now. And then, using like logic helps me out so much, because all these insecurities in our head, sometimes they're real because they're a problem in our head, but in actuality, they don't exist outside of it. So it's about like identifying those, and like a lot of self-reflection really helps.
Okay, that was really good. Applying logic to it, and is this problem real? And I loved what you said about solving one problem at a time, just getting one thing done at a time. So the last question is, what do you wish you would have known 5 years ago?
5 years ago, that's very specific.
In the last few years, is there something you've learned that you're like, wow, if I would have known that sooner, I would be in a better place? It doesn't have to be specifically, but in the last few years, what is something you're like, oh, I wish I could have learned that earlier?
The good one is, don't always read into little things. Like, as an actor, sometimes we get so in our head, and we can be very insecure about our performances or something like that. And, there was like one time where, a director said one thing to me, and I was like, wait, and I was like, huh? And then I talked to him a few years later. I was like, oh, that's not what I meant at all, dude. And then he like presented that logic to me. He was like, no, I cast you in this role because you were the best one. I wouldn't be picking things up this many years later if I didn't, investing all this, if I didn't want you in it. And so it was that like click of like, sometimes one, talking it out, and two, just being like, oh, not reading into so many things.
Not
'Cause
jumping
sometimes,
not jumping to the negative when you're not even
Yeah.
sure what they meant.
exactly. And sometimes it's easier to just take things as face value.
That's great.
With discretion, but like usually sometimes if it's like something like that, just take it as face value.
That's wonderful. That's great insight. Ryan, where can they find you if they want to look you up?
All right. I am at Mr. Ryan Wayne on Instagram, and I open up packs on YouTube for Pokemon at Pokemon Rising Star, TCG, Pokemon spelled PKMN.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time today.
Thank
I will
you.
see you next time on another episode of 3 Questions with Kat. Bye.
Bye.
Get the tips you need to reach your dreams.